Hey everyone, Jeff here with you on the JBSN Media Network YouTube channel. This is your official WrestleMania 35 review. Let's get into it. We had 4 matches on the 2-hour kickoff. It started off with the WWE Cruiserweight title match first. We had Buddy Murphy putting that Cruiserweight title on the line against Tony Nese. These two put on a great match. I actually saw the match in person a week ago in Hershey, where then they had Buddy Murphy retain. But here we had a surprise. We had Tony Nese win the title off Buddy Murphy, so they finally got it off Murphy after a long run. And a pretty good run from Murphy. It's just unfortunate the building was only half full at the time, but I thought these two told a great story, had a great match, and they went for the surprise here and had Tony Nese win the title. We'll see if he holds it long term or if Buddy Murphy's going to get it back in the near future, but that's what we started off with, so a pretty good start there. The next match on the card was the second annual WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. It featured Asuka, Carmella, Naomi, Lana, and among others. I have to admit, this was a little bit of a surprise, but not really if you really think about it. I think a lot of us thought that Asuka was going to win here, because I thought personally she should have been thrown a bone here for the way she's been treated and booked as of late. She was among the last ones in there, but instead of having Asuka win, which I thought would have been the right play, they had Carmella be the one to win in the end. I didn't have a real problem with Carmella winning. I thought it was fine for what it was. I don't think there was really any payoff for Carmella winning unless she's getting a women's title shot at some point. To me, I thought Asuka would have been the better choice because she should be back in that title picture anyway. So they had Carmella win, which was fine. I had picked Asuka, and then for the first match, I had picked Buddy Murphy, so I'm 0-2. The third match was for the Raw Tag Team titles. This was kind of a thrown-together match at the last minute. You had the Revival defending those titles against Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. I had picked the Revival on my podcast last week in the predictions, and of course, wouldn't you believe, we had a title match, or the titles rather, switch hands here. Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins are the new Raw Tag Team Champions. Kurt Hawkins broke that long losing streak of 269 consecutive losses, and they went for the feel-good moment here. I guess it's fine. I've been hearing that maybe they're going to be combining the tag titles at some point. So you give Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins a token run with the title. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It doesn't really hurt anything in the long run. So congratulations to them, and I got that match wrong as well. And finally, the final match on the kickoff was the 6th annual Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Really no surprise here. We pretty much got what I thought we were going to see in the end. It came down to Braun Strowman and the two Jokers from Saturday Night Live, Colin Jost and Michael Che. They went for a stupid comedy spot here with Jost and Che having, I guess, a therapist or whatever. It was really not necessary. Braun Strowman does eventually eliminate both Jost and Che to win here. And the right guy won here, so no big surprise. And I think we all assumed that Braun was winning because he needed something to do. So those were the matches on the kickoff. They actually started off the actual WrestleMania portion by having Alexa Bliss come out, and Hulk Hogan came out to do his usual Hogan shtick. And of course, wouldn't you believe, he messed up the name of the stadium once again. Instead of calling it MetLife Stadium, he called it MetLife Center. So actually, after Hogan does his usual bit, Paul Heyman comes out and goes on to say, if Brock Lesnar's not in the main event spot, they wanted to get it over with right then and there. So we had the WWE Universal title match to kick off the main portion of WrestleMania. Seth Rollins against Brock Lesnar as the champion. This your classic Brock Lesnar match here. He got all the offense in before the bell, but after the bell rung, Seth Rollins came back strong, hit a low blow that turned out to be the turning point. 3 curb stomps later, Seth Rollins is the new WWE Universal Champion. I did not see that coming. I thought for sure Brock was retaining here. Of course, there's all this talk now that maybe Brock may be on his way back to UFC to set up something with Daniel Cormier. We'll have to wait and see. We'll see if Brock shows up on Raw, and if you're listening to this on the podcast this week, we already know the answer to that by now. So there you had that. So Seth Rollins, the new champion. I got that one wrong as well, so I'm not off to a great start. The next match on the card was the grudge match on SmackDown. It was AJ Styles taking on Randy Orton. These two had a great match. The crowd was pretty much into it. I thought Randy Orton was going to win. He was my pick. And of course, they went the other way. They had AJ Styles actually get the win here. He hit the phenomenal forearm on Randy Orton and eventually at the end and got the win here. So a bit of a surprise here. I thought Randy Orton was going over here, but he didn't. So we had that. Next up was the Fatal 4-Way for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. We had The Usos defending it against Ricochet and Aleister Black, Sheamus, Cesaro, Rusev, and Shinsuke Nakamura. The outcome here was never in doubt. You knew that the Usos were going to be retaining, and they did here. The one big spot in the match that everyone was talking about was Cesaro swinging around Ricochet for like 2 minutes in that big swing of his that he does. That was pretty impressive stuff for Cesaro to hold it that long. But in the end, the Usos wound up winning after hitting stereo super kicks on Sheamus for the win here. So the Usos retained. That was not a big surprise. I think some people may have thought Ricochet and Aleister Black were getting it here, but the Usos winning was not a surprise, and I thought that was the right outcome because that's who I picked to win. Next match on the card was the Falls Count Anywhere match between The Miz and Shane McMahon. This was an incredible match. It went outside the ring and went through the crowd, and yes, we did get that death-defying spot from Shane McMahon. The way the match ended is they were on this big camera platform. Miz sets up Shane for a superplex off this camera platform all the way down, and he hits it, but as a result, the Miz actually Shane lands on the Miz and actually gets the 3 count after they crash and burn. So Shane McMahon gets the win on the Miz. I thought for sure the Miz was getting retribution here, but they had Shane win. Of course, he's a McMahon, and yes, George Mizanin did get involved in the match. He actually got into the ring. It was really not necessary, but you knew because he was in the front row, which he was, that there was going to be involvement with him, and sure enough, he got involved, and Shane wound up attacking him, but he apparently is fine. So Shane does get the upper hand and wins here. Next up was the Fatal 4-Way for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. We had Sasha and Bayley defending it against the Iconics, Beth Phoenix, Natalya, and Snuka and Nia Jax. This was a surprise to me. I did not see this outcome coming. I thought for sure that Sasha and Bayley were retaining here. I didn't think they were going to be losing it this soon, but they lost the titles here. They did the switch, and it was the team you least likely thought was going to win that actually won it. It was the Iconics. The Iconics wound up stealing the victory after Beth Phoenix had hit the Glam Slam on Bayley for the win, and for what would have been the win, but they eliminated Beth Phoenix, and then one of the Iconics wound up covering Bayley and getting the 3 count. And the Iconics are the WWE Women's Tag Team title holders. Congratulations to them. I didn't see it coming. I think a lot of people were surprised that they went with the Iconics here, but they got a big reaction in the end. Even though I don't think this is going to be a long-term title run for them, I guess I'm happy that they're at least getting a chance to hold the titles for a short amount of time. Next match on the card was for the WWE title. It was Kofi Kingston taking on the new Daniel Bryan for his title. This, again, was an incredible match. Great storytelling. It left you on the edge of your seat if you were watching in the stadium or on WWE Network. I thought for sure Daniel Bryan was retaining this title, but they went for the feel-good moment. I have to give Vince credit. He did it. He actually had Kofi Kingston. He put Kofi Kingston over here, and he beat Daniel Bryan to win the WWE title. Now, bear in mind, folks, we have to remember that contract that they signed on SmackDown the previous Tuesday, it had the invalid date on it. Is that something that could come into play? Will they talk about that on SmackDown? Well, obviously, if you're listening to this on the podcast, we already know the answer, but if you're not, we'll have to wait and see. But for the time being, at least, Kofi Kingston is the WWE champion. It was shocking, and there was no sign of any heel turn from the New Day. I think there was some discussion that maybe Big E would make the heel turn. It didn't happen here, but it still could happen coming up down the line. We'll have to pay attention to that. But congratulations to Kofi for winning the title. Next up was the match for the WWE United States title. It was Rey Mysterio Jr. taking on Samoa Joe. This was a very quick squash. Rey Mysterio was not 100%. His ankle was not fully healed, but he gave it a go, and this was just basically nothing more to make Samoa Joe look good. Samoa Joe won very quickly after getting the Coquina clutch on Rey, after he had hit the 619 and went to the top rope and missed. And Samoa Joe got him for the submission win. So Samoa Joe retaining, not a big surprise because I picked Samoa Joe, and I think we all knew that anyways. Next up was the grudge match between Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. Again, the outcome here never in doubt. This match did not go terribly long. I think it went a little more than 10 minutes. the right guy won here. Again, they went for the feel-good moment. Roman Reigns does win in the end. He beats Drew McIntyre with the spear for the win, and Roman Reigns gets the win in the end. Though the crowd did not seem overly happy to see Roman Reigns win. I don't know if it was because they were tired or what it was. They didn't get the big reaction I thought he was going to get as well. So Roman Reigns does get the retribution for the win. Next up, we had Elias's musical act. They did a nice little feature of having him on the screen and then him in person doing this thing. But then, of course, he was interrupted, and it was John Cena who made his return here. But it wasn't the current John Cena that we've all seen. It was actually old school 2002, the Dr. Thugonomics version of John Cena. And I think that was the big surprise. It caught a lot of people off guard. It was pretty cool to see that. And, of course, Cena did his old school stuff on Elias there, and then he wound up hitting the FU, or what they call the attitude adjustment now. So Elias just continues to get buried. And that was pretty much the end of that. And John Cena, that was pretty awesome to see that. So I think some people might have been disappointed, though, that John Cena wasn't involved in another match that we're going to talk about here shortly. Next match was the no-holds-barred match between Triple H and Batista. Again, the outcome never in doubt here. Triple H, you knew Triple H was going to win here. This match, this was an old school ECW match. They pulled out all the stops here. This was basically to cover up the ring rust from both guys here, so they had the weapons so they can kind of hide their ring rust here. And there was some very sick stuff here in this match. It was gruesome stuff. I mean, the spot where you had Triple H pull Dave Batista's nose ring out of his nose, that was kind of gruesome. But, of course, Triple H does win in the end with a pedigree. No surprise. We knew Big Dave was putting Triple H over here. And, honestly, I thought this match went way too long. Much like I thought the Miz-Shane McMahon match also went too long. This match went way longer than it needed to, in my opinion. So we had that. Next up was the farewell match for Kurt Angle. He did take on Baron Corbin. There was no John Cena to be found here. There was no sign of The Undertaker or anybody else. These two had a match. It was a very short match. I thought Kurt Angle was going to win here. He didn't win. Baron Corbin wins in the end. He hit the end of days for the win after Kurt Angle crashed and burned on a moonsault attempt. And look, I understand that if you're a guy that's retiring, you typically do the job and do the honors on the way out. But I thought they at least owed Kurt Angle this, because for Baron Corbin, he is not getting any type of a push for this, so I didn't see the reason why he needed the win here. He didn't need the rub. He's already got enough feet, and he's not getting a push. He's not challenging for any major titles here. So having Baron Corbin win here made no sense to me, but I guess they just went with tradition. Next match, last match was for the Intercontinental title. It featured Bobby Lashley defending it against Finn Balor as the Demon King. To me, this was clearly, no doubt, what was going to happen. We knew Finn Balor was winning, and that's exactly what happened. Finn Balor, after Bobby Lashley attacked him for a while, does come back in the end, and Finn Balor is the new Intercontinental Champion. This match did not go very long. It went, I think, less than 10 minutes. And then finally, we had the winner-take-all triple threat match for the women's Raw and SmackDown titles. This match started after midnight Eastern, which was ridiculous. We had Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte Flair all in the match. This was, I thought, went 20 minutes. The fans were pretty much tired, but then they eventually got back into it. And in the end, Becky Lynch pins Ronda Rousey. Ronda actually does the job and actually takes the pinfall here. Becky Lynch is the new unified, I guess what they're going to be doing, unified Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. So they keep Charlotte looking strong here and not being the one to take the loss. My official report card grade. Overall, I thought this was a very strong WrestleMania. It was not perfect. I give it a B+. No pun intended. B+. I thought it was very strong. A couple of things here. The Kurt Angle stuff kind of bugged me a little bit. I think, and the other thing really was the length of the show. It didn't end until 12:30 in the morning Eastern time on Monday morning. There was no reason for it to go that long, honestly. So. But other than that, I thought the card was pretty strong. Again, you just got to cut the time down, and having Kurt Angle lose, to me, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But other than that, I had no real issue with anything else that happened. So that is your official WWE WrestleMania 35 review. Bye for now, everyone, and as always, drink some water, and as always and forever, folks, keep it in full drive.
For the JBSN Media Network, this is Jenna Green speaking.